Like, no other prophet had this level of clarity concerning the messianic promise.
You know, I was teaching this in Sunday school because I found it interesting because I don't think a lot of people have understood chapter 22, how it reads. And you had mentioned about Isaac volunteering, so to speak, himself to be slain, which also brings up the fact that he must have studied or watched his father and seen his conversations and interactions with God, and had his own faith built up into the fact that he was able to allow himself to be a sacrifice.
Yeah.
Because you just can't pick somebody up and say, "Hey, I'm going to sacrifice you. By the way, don't run."
Like, no, no, my 9 mil says otherwise.
So, but I just wanted to bring that out to help people understand that Isaac wasn't surprised.
No.
Not to the point where he understood what his dad was doing and the purpose of it. You know, God wanted the sacrifice. He probably, well, he may have felt honored in a sense. And, you know, Abraham's giving his only son, as God gave his only son. But I want to interject this. I want to see what you think. If he had sacrificed his son, if he really actually was slain, that wouldn't have been a perfect sacrifice. So it would have been for nothing, so to speak, because Isaac is not a perfect sacrifice. He was a sinful person, whereas Christ was a perfect sacrifice. So to keep the two from being mixed, you know, confused, you know, Isaac couldn't be a perfect sacrifice, and that's why I believe maybe why God stopped him and said, you know, I will provide the lamb for myself.
Yeah.
You know, and I know that a ram was used, but that was a sacrifice that God was really wanting, because no human sacrifice could fulfill what he's really needing, and this is just leading up to it.
Yeah.
And it would,
Yeah, I mean, I have to agree. And that's the beauty of... That's something even today authors do when they're writing a novel or something. They don't want the parable to be exactly like the situation.
mm-hmm.
Because they don't want that confusion to happen. They don't want that. They want the realization to dawn on the people as they see it, but still understand the difference. And God, as the author of life, is doing the same thing. So, I mean, that's a very good point. We're all sinners. Whoever said that I didn't sin, like that one preacher dude, is a liar and is sitting right there. But so yeah, Isaac wasn't perfect, so he couldn't have been the perfect sacrifice. Furthermore, I mean, God's character dictates, and it's encoded in His law, that a child will not bear the punishment of his father's sins. Meaning that one person can't be punished because of somebody else. So Isaac could not take anybody's sin upon himself. It would have been immoral, and God won't tolerate that. But Christ, being God incarnate, being, God having taken on flesh, God can do whatever he wants. In the sense that if he wants to pay for everybody's sin tab, at last call, he can do it. He just isn't going to make somebody else do it. He's not going to accept somebody else's payment for it. And that's why he himself had to come in the flesh to begin with. Yeah.
Okay, verse 9. Then they came to the place which God had told him, and Abraham built an altar there and placed the wood in order, and he bound Isaac his son and laid him on the altar upon the wood. And that's where you were talking about Isaac voluntarily saying, "Bind me so I don't mess up this whole ordeal."
Yeah, because the offering had to be the animal, or as we said in our previous episode, it's through the language, it's tying this chapter, not this event, not only to the beginning of Abraham's ministry and to the end of the Messiah's ministry in the flesh. He's also tying it to the sacrificial system. And so if we look at the sacrificial system, we know that any animal, any offering brought to God, it doesn't matter if it's an animal. It could be one of the grain offerings or drink offerings. Whatever it is, it has to be perfect. If it's an animal, it can't have no bruises, scratches, cuts, blisters, pimples,
not even
missing hair.
Wrong hair, colored hair. Can't be any kind of blemish.
Cannot have any blemish. And the sages caught that idea. They recognized that, and that's why they told this extra biblical story to help convey it. And they're saying, look, Isaac knew that he was going to be a sacrifice, so he wanted to make sure that he was suitable for the job, that he was perfect, that he himself didn't do anything. If his survival instincts kicked in, he wouldn't dislocate his shoulder or pull a muscle or whatever the case may be. And it's beautiful because without even knowing, the sages take us, I should say, to the Garden of Gethsemane, where Jesus, on the night that he was given over, prayed the simple prayer: Father, if at all possible, let this cup pass me by. If it's your will. But if not, let your will be done, not mine. And Isaac's saying basically the same thing. He's actually going a step further, right? Saying, he's not even fighting. He's not even saying, I don't like it, I don't do it. He's just saying, okay, just make sure, help me help you, help me make sure that nothing goes wrong. I want to be in perfect submission. And just fills my heart with gratitude and joy. And it makes me want to be that guy. Like, anytime else I'd say, don't be that guy. But here, like, let's be that guy.
You know, you brought up the fact of Jesus being in the garden and praying that, not my will done, but yours. Not, you know, a lot of people that have a problem with Jesus being both man and God. There is a perfect example of him being man by showing the humanity in him, that he was a man. He knew what was going to happen to him. He knew the punishment. And as a man, no man would want to go through that,
Yeah.
knowing what was going to happen. But at the same time, knowing what his father was, what the plan was all along with them. That's why he said, not my will, not as a man, not my will be done, but yours be done. So,
Yeah.
it's like they can't picture him being a man.
Yeah.
They can see him being God easier than they can see him being a man.
Yeah.
But the reason he came is because he had to prove that being a man, he was able to do every will of the Father without question.
Yeah. And that's one of the tensions we tend to fall into, one error or the other, especially today, where some people will focus on his divinity in and neglect his humanity, but then others, a growing number of people, are focusing on his humanity and forgetting his divinity.
Mm-hmm.
Like saying, oh, he did everything he did as a man. Well, not entirely true. And that's from our Hellenist mindset, our Hellenic upbringing, because Western culture is, in the end, rooted in not only Christianity, but a Greco-Latin worldview, where we tend to like categories, separate things into categories,
Mm-hmm.
have little boxes where things nice and neatly put in, and when things blur the line, we have a hard time dealing with that. Unlike ancient Hebrews and ancient Near Eastern cultures, even today, really, I shouldn't say ancient necessarily, but it's. Thank you for bringing that up, because that's one thing we need to be aware of when we're doing anything in life. Like, be aware of our biases, and in this case, make sure we're not falling into error or heresy. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And Abraham, verse 10, and Abraham stretched out his hand and took the knife to slay his son. But the angel of the Lord called to him from heaven, and I want to state that that word angel was capitalized. Called to him from heaven and said, Abraham, Abraham. So he said, here I am.
Would you like to elaborate on the significance of? I mean, granted, it's English. It's capitalized in English. There's no capital letters in Hebrew, but why they capitalize it?
Well, in every instance that I know, and I could be wrong. I was wrong one time this year already. But anytime it's capitalized, it is meaning that this is Jesus.
Yeah.
Actually doing the speaking or doing the action, whatever it is when it's capitalized, because they don't know who he is in the sense that we do. They only can understand that he is a type, something more than an angel that was created. So for them, he's somewhere between an angel and God the Father, but they can't figure it out because he hasn't been revealed yet, except for to a few people. Okay, like Adam. We'll see. He'll Jacob. Of course, Moses, Abraham. You know, it doesn't state anything about Isaac right now seeing him.
Yeah.
You know, so there's only been a very few people that has actually seen him and would know that he is God. So the best they can do is project the fact that he is a higher type angel, type being.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and that's as far as they can go.
Yeah.
Of course, we don't know. It's very vague at this point of having a Messiah yet. Although in the very beginning, when God said that he would crush the serpent's head, I don't think they fully understood what that meant at the time.
Yeah.
Until it gets revealed further. You know, we get more and more information about who is this person that's going to be doing this, and then they find out, you know, that.
Yeah. That's why verse 8 sticks out so much. Like, Abraham knew a lot more. He understood a lot more than anybody else before him, and most of everybody else that came after him. But yeah.